In today's tutorial, we're going to learn how to do the ripple stitch, and the ripple stitch is actually really fantastic. In actual fact, you can actually slip your hook in behind the ripples, so it's really fantastic in that way. So it's 1 2 1 2 1 2, so it's in sets of 2. Now this example, I know I'm going to get email on it. What kind of string was this? This is the James C. Brett Marble Chunky line. This stuff is not cheap, but it is fantastic. It takes a long time to transition between colors, giving it a really huge effect. When you compare this Bernat Soft Chunky, you can see that the colors are changing so frequently that it's pretty obvious. So this one has a really nice slow transition and knits and crochets like a dream. I love, love, love this stuff. So let's get started on doing. Before I forget, I should tell you that there is a problem with this stitch here. And the problem is that the corners like to bend up and into the middle. It's pinned down right now, so it's holding it flat. So, and the reason why that's happening is that when you look at the ripple stitch, you can stick your hook in behind each one of the ripples because it's giving like a sandbar and a beach kind of effect. But the ripples are only on the one side, so this is the bad side of the project. So because the ripples are on the inside and pulling up on the posts on this side, it tends to want to make the material roll up. And not only roll up here, but there. So I would plan, if you're doing an afghan or any kind of project that you put on a border that's not the ripple stitch, in order to hold this project. So let's start off with our slip stitch. And hello, it's Michael from Mikeyssmail, and together with my friends at AllFreeCrochet and I, we'd like to introduce you to the ripple stitch. In today's tutorial, I'm using a 4-ply Bernat worsted yarn and a size G hook. So we're just going to pull our slip knot on there, not too tight, but just nice and snug, and we're just going to keep it in sets of 2. So this is already 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 oops 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 and 2, and so I'll stop because I'm going to lose count. So you just keep it in sets of 2, and at the very end of your row, no matter how long you've done, just please add 1. So there we go. So that is your first starting line. So what we're going to do now is that we're going to do our double crochet. We're going to do a double crochet all the way back across this line. So holding your index finger and your thumb onto the stitch just right below the loop, what I want you to do is count 3. So chain up 3. So 1 2 and 3. So now using where your finger was holding, that is identifying where that stitch is for your very first stitch. So just wrapping the material around, going in to the stitch on the line, pulling it through, pull through 2 and 2. And let's review that one more time. So wrapping the material, going to the next stitch on the line, pulling it through, pull through 2 and 2. So just continue to do that throughout this line, and we'll meet you back up at the end and we'll carry on with our next part. So time is fast forwarded, and now we're at the end of the line. So all we need to do now is just turn your material. So turn it around. So what we're going to do is just chain up 1, just chain 1, and we're going to single crochet ourselves all the way back across this line. We need to do these 2 first steps in order to, before we can even start the ripple, because the actual next line that we are doing is actually directly behind the first ripple here, because the ripple is from a line above it coming down. So what we want to do now is that we've just chained up 1, and we just want to make sure that we get into the very first stitch that is right there. So we chained up 1 and it's right underneath it. So just through and through. So just going into the next one, through, through. So you're not grabbing the material, so just go single crochet all the way across this line, and we'll meet back up at the end. So I'm coming into the end, and how do you know when you're actually finished the end of a line? A lot of people tend to miss it. So this was the chain when we chained up to come back across for the double crochet, and this is the last post. So what we want to do is we want to go into the one there, but do not forget to make sure you go into the chain of this piece here. The chain is so important. Do not go into the gap. I always say that in every tutorial. Going into the gap will pull this to open up like so, pulling apart your work. So just going into the chain right on the side for your single crochet, and therefore, see, you've just finished a line, and that will just smoothen back out. So what we need to do now is turn our material, and then we got to look at the pattern, and I got to show you a few. When we're looking at the ripple stitch, we actually have to pay attention to something really so simple it's not even funny. So you just have a space, ripple, space, ripple, space, ripple, and we're going all the way down. But you'll notice, see, there's a gap here of just empty space, and then it's the ripple, and you have the ripple and then empty space. If you look above it, the ripples for the next line are right directly beside it on the outside, just like so. And then on the next one, they're back in again, leaving this gap. So in actual fact, what we need to pay attention to here when we're starting now is that your ripples will come out like this and then extend out, in, out, in, out, in, all the way throughout your project. So when we go to start our first line, you're going to think that you're missing it and leaving a gap, but in actual fact, you're creating the pattern for it to begin. So to